Star Wars, Young Jedi Knights, Delusions of Grandeur, Chapter 6. Zeke brought the lightning rod down through the atmosphere, confident that no one would disturb him. At least, not here. This planet was the farthest place from anywhere he could possibly find. The charts called the bleak world Ziost. Glaciers covered much of what once been a towering outpost of the fallen Sith Empire, so that only a few broken turrets still protruded from the landscape of ice. Frozen tundra crackled blue under the shimmering auroras dancing above in the sky. Ziost was too inhospitable to harbor any sort of colony, and the Sith ruins too decayed to shelter pirates or other refugees that might seek to hide from the scrutiny of authorities. It was, however, a good place for Zeke to do his work, undisturbed and alone, without risk of detection. The disguised man on Borgo Prime, whom Zeke was certain must be Bornanthal himself, had commissioned him to transmit a coded message to the Bornanian merchant fleet. In the wake of Thol's disappearance and the kidnapping of his brother Tycho, the fleet had gone into hiding and now hopped at random through hyperspace to keep from being found. Zeke had to communicate with them somehow. His bounty depended on it. Master Wary had offered suggestions, places from which he might attempt to send his message, and Zeke intended to try them all. He would not give up easily. The lightning rod headed toward a broad shelf of ice under a twilit sky. Fissures ran across the frozen plain, and slushy water burst through the cracks propelled by tidal pressure. Trusting his instincts, Zeke found a safe place to land and shut down all systems. He would leave no bright sensor traces for spying eyes, however unlikely their presence might be. Working in silence, he rigged up his transmitter, fed in power from the engines to give his signal a spectacular boost, and then began sending Bornanthal's message. Zeke wasn't sure what the coded burst said, but now he could hazard a guess. Thol would most likely explain his disappearance, announce that he was still alive, or perhaps estimate when he was expected to come home. He first sent the signal to the Bornanian headquarters on Coruscant, on the chance that Arwen Drol Thol might check in for urgent news. It only made sense that she would have made arrangements to learn if her missing husband reappeared. Zeke didn't know why the man was so desperately hiding, but Thol was obviously frightened. He didn't understand why Thol might go to Shaco's hive in disguise to hire a bounty hunter, a little-known bounty hunter like Zeke. Since Thol had such a high price on his own head, he would be foolish to send the message himself. Any glory-seeking bounty hunter might spot the signal and race to its source fast enough to capture him. Being a bounty hunter himself, Zeke was paid to assume such risks. Even so, he did not intend to be easy prey for his competitors. Everyone in the galaxy seemed to be looking for Bornan Thol, including Zeke, until he had unwittingly been hired by the very quarry he sought. On the other hand, Thol had already set up another meeting with him, so perhaps when the time came, Zeke could capture the wanted man after all and take the whole bounty. Then he would prove himself a bounty hunter to be reckoned with. The ethical question was hindrance, of course. Next, he sent a duplicate message to other places where Master Wary thought the merchant fleet might pick up transmissions. Zeke couldn't be certain how Thol's scheme worked, but the merchant might well have made plans for such a contingency. Their business had boomed, and successful traders always lived in the threat of being held for ransom. Leaning back in his creaking cockpit seat, Zeke transmitted the message to a fourth and final set of coordinates. He had fulfilled his obligations, everything Master Wary had asked him to do. Time to go. As he reached forward to power up the lightning rod, he felt suddenly uneasy in the cockpit. Were his rarely used Jedi senses sending him a warning? Or was imagination just running away with him? Zeke decided to leave Zios as quickly as the battered old ship could carry him. Repulsor lifts blasted, melting a crater in the path of ice. Zeke left the ship hover as he contemplated his course. Next, he would begin his search for the abducted brother, Tycho Thol. The ship's rear sensors sounded an alarm. Zeke's hand flew over the control panels and spotted another ship fast approaching, a souped-up hunting craft made from new and old components pieced together. The intruder soared out of hyperspace without slowing, barreling directly toward the lightning rod. A warning tingle along Zeke's spine supplemented the red flashing lights on the control panels. The newcomer had already powered up his weapon systems, and Zeke was in his sights. A gruff, lemony voice came over the comm system. I have my targeting computer locked on you, Bornanthal. Surrender, or I'll simply destroy your ship and take your remains for the bounty. The lightning rod protested as Zeke flew a rapid, evasive mover. He shot out in the voice transmitter, Wait, who's this? I'm not Thol. I'm a bounty hunter just like you. My name is Zeke. After a pause, the bounty hunter's voice came over the speakers again. Never heard of you, Zeke. But you've no doubt heard of me. I am Dengar. Now surrender your ship. I must interrogate you regarding Bornanthal. Zeke streaked across the glacial plain, pulsing the lightning rod's engines to greater speed. He certainly knew of Dengar, one of the most fearsome bounty hunters in the galaxy. Shadowy circles surrounded deep-set eyes on Dengar's pasty face, giving him a skull-like visage. His head was wrapped in bandages to cover the scars and perpetually seeping wounds from a hideous injury years long ago. Once a crack flyer in a swoop gang, he suffered a severe accident caused by young Han Solo, and later his brain had been cybernetically enhanced by the Empire. Dengar was also one of the elite hunters Darth Vader had hired to track down the Millennium Falcon after the Battle of Hoth. This was indeed a man Zeke did not want to cross, but neither did he want to surrender for a long and intense conversation with the bounty hunter. I can't tell you anything about Bornanthal, Zeke said, still flying at breakneck speed. By the creed, you can't fire another bounty hunter unless I'm obstructing your own target. Dengar replied, I interpret your resistance as such an obstruction. You transmitted a coded communication for the Bornanian fleet through relays to known revenue points. I planned numerous drone buoys to intercept any suspicious signals, then waited. You triggered my alarms, therefore I intend to seize your databanks and study them for myself. Any other person might have laughed, but Dengar simply let out a pregnant silence extend for a few minutes. At last he said, I will have that information, whether you give it to me willingly or force me to rip it from you. Without waiting for reply, the veteran bounty hunter fired a pulsed ion cannon, a disruptor that was high-powered, as it was illegal to own. Zeke had not imagined a device could be made with such a devastating output. The ion blast brought down all of Zeke's shields. Luckily, Lightning Rod's life support and engine systems ran off a separate projected power array and survived. The lightning rod was now defenseless. However, one more shot would cripple it completely. Zeke swerved towards the base of a sheer cliff of ice that bristled with rock outcroppings. Dengar's ship howled close behind, demonstrating the bounty hunter's cybernetic reflexes. Zeke leveled off at the top of another frozen plateau and streaked low to the ground. Dengar launched a small concussion grenade, and Zeke braced himself for impact, knowing his disabled shield would offer no protection against the explosives. The detonation would destroy his rear engine to send him to crash and burn in his abandoned ice age world. The grenade struck a starboard hull, but no explosion followed. He heard a dull metallic thud, as if a hammer had cracked his canister. He breathed a huge sigh of relief at this incredible stroke of luck. Dengar had fired a dud. Master Skywalker's Jedi Academy said there was no such thing as a coincidence or luck. There was only the Force, which moved in mysterious ways. And Zeke wondered if he could subconsciously have used a trace of his Jedi power to deactivate the explosive. Before the bandaged bounty hunter could launch another attack, though, Zeke gritted his teeth and threw every possible ounce of his piloting skills into getting away right then. Dengar fired laser cannons, but Zeke intuitively knew what to do, knew how to react. He jinked with the lightning rod to the left, then curved in a loop, elbowing back to the right, zooming in on a serpentine maneuver that neatly avoided the bounty hunter's pattern of strikes. Zeke felt the fluid instincts move through him, like a Jedi Knight using a lightsaber to deflect blaster bolts. The entire ship seemed a part of Zeke. He dodged and hopped, ducked and swerved, perfectly avoiding a rapid-fire attack. Like a Jedi, it was simultaneously frightened and exhilarated him. You may not have heard of me, Dengar, Zeke said, but you will. One of these days, I'll rival even Boba Fett. In an uncharacteristic display of emotion, Dengar roared at him over the con systems. The icebound plane swept beneath him, reflecting the booms from his high-powered engines. Zeke got an inspiration, a desperate idea that might allow him to escape. He powered up his forward laser cannons and deployed them in a wide arc, firing low and directly ahead. Using all his weapons without slowing for an instant, Zeke strafed the frozen glacier shield. His super hot lasers bombarded the snow and ice, slicing up a molten wound as he flew onward. The meltwater flashed into steam that built up into huge evaporating clouds and froze again into icy mist crystals. Fog swelled up to fill the air behind him like an ever-expanding smokescreen. The cloud slammed into Dengar's ship, blinding him. Zeke pulled the lightning rod up, rocketing straight toward the edge of the atmosphere. Below, he left the befuddled bounty hunter ship enveloped in condensing steam. Knowing he only had a few seconds, he let the force flow through him and punched numbers at random into the navicomputer. He'd have to trust in his own inordinate luck to select a course by chance that wouldn't take him to the core of a star or down a gullet of a black hole. As soon as he escaped the gravitational pull of the planet, the star lines of night elongated to welcome the lightning rod as it shot forward. The entire planet of Zios shrank to a tiny pinprick behind him as nothingness of hyperspace swallowed him up. Dengar would never know what had hit him or where Zeke had gone.